Okay, fifth graders, this should be much like the homework you did a couple nights ago. Adding fractions, and these have common denominators. So first you add the fractions, then you add the whole number, and then we need to, it says write the fractions with a common denominator. So you change it, let's see, and then you reduce to lowest terms. So here we go. We're going to just add down 1/4 plus 1/4 will be 2/4. And then we add our whole number. 3 plus 2 is 5. So we get an answer of 5 2/4. I was okay with this in the beginning, but now I'd like you to make it a smaller one, reduce it. So we can call this, we can divide them both by 2/2, or many of you know that this is the same as half. So we could also call this 5 1/2. And that would be lowest terms. This one, we're going to do the same thing. We're adding with our common denominator. Add our numerators. 1 plus 2 is 3, so we've got 3/5, and 6 plus 3 is 9. 9 and 3/5, they don't have any common factors except 1, so it's as small as it gets. We can leave it right there, 9 and 3/5. This one, we've got a common denominator of 2, and 1 plus 1 is 2. And then we add our whole numbers. 3 plus 1 is 4. We can't leave it like this because we already know 2/2 is the same as 1. So this one, if I change this to 1, now I've got 4 plus that 1 whole right here. It's going to be 5 as our answer. Let's keep our, we don't have a common denominator on this one, so we need to look for a common denominator. Our least common multiple for this one is probably 15. So let's see what we can do to find an equivalent fraction for 3/5 that has a denominator of 15. We're going to multiply both of them times 3. 5 times 3 is 15, so 3 times 3 would be 9. This one, 3 times 5, so we're going to multiply them by 5/5. 5 times 3 is 15, 2 times 5 is 10. So now I can add them up, and I get 19/15 for an answer. And then I'm going to add my whole number. 3 plus 1 is 4. And like our homework the other night, we need to subtract one of those whole numbers. So I'm going to take 15 out, and now I've got one whole. 15/15 is the same as a whole. So instead of 4, I've got 5 because I added that whole one in, and I've got a leftover 4 out of 15. So 5 4/15 for a final answer there. This one, another one where we need to find a common denominator. We're going to multiply this one by 3/3 and this one by 4/4 to get a common denominator of 12. 3 times 3 is 9. These are equivalent fractions. 2 times 4 is 8. These two are equivalent fractions. These two are not equivalent though, but we're going to add them together now. 9 and 8 is 17, and our denominator stays the same, 12. We're ready to add our whole number, 12. So we've got 12 and 17/12. This is an improper fraction. We can't leave it that way. I know 12 out of 12 is a whole, so I can subtract 12 here. And if I do, I get a leftover 5. And I'm going to leave it at 5/12. Remember now, I took 12 out of 12 here, so it's the same as 1. 12 plus another 1 will equal 13. So I get a final answer of 13 5/12. This one, I think we can find a least common multiple of 8 here. And if I multiply this by 2/2, 4 times 2 is 8, 3 times 2 is 6, 6/8 and 3/4 are equivalent. So now I don't even have to bother with that 1/8. I can just add down. 6 plus 1 is 7. Keep my denominator the same, 8. And now I can add my whole numbers here. And I get 14 7/8. I could, or I should look at reducing this one. And I ask myself, are there any common factors besides 1? In this case, no. There are no common factors, so we leave it as 14 7/8. This one gets a little bit tricky because a lot of kids get confused when there is nothing to add right here. So we can just keep our 4/5, and we're not going to add it at all. We're just going to bring it straight down. 7 plus 3 is 10, so 10 and 4/5. Looks confusing, but it's actually quite simple. This one, now we're looking for a common denominator. We're going to have to multiply them both by something. I'm thinking 8 times 1 is 8. Nope. 8 times 2 is 16.
May I have
work.
your attention,
8 times
please?
3
This
is
is
24.
for
That won't
patrollers.
work.
Students will patrol this afternoon. It's Team Bravo. And please go now to sign up and get a flag. Thank you.
6 times 4 is 24. That will work for a common denominator. And then 5 times 4 is 20. Now I can add them down because I have that common denominator of 24. 15 plus 20 is going to be 35. Add my whole numbers. 2 plus 2 is 4. And this is one where now I need to reduce. 24 out of 24 will take a 1. So then I need to subtract, and I get 11 out of 24. And then I need to add that 1 over here. This was 4, it just became 5 and 11/24. And here, a common denominator, I think I can just multiply this by 2 over 2 and get a denominator of 8. And since this is already 8, I can just leave it alone. I don't have to do anything. 1 times 2 is 2. And now I can add down 5 plus 2 is 7. Keep my denominator of 8. And 8 plus 3 is 11. And I know that that's simplest form because it was up there too. So 11 and 7/8. That's it. Thanks for working with me today.